All right, welcome to another deep dive. You guys know how this works by now. We take your requests and we deep dive into whatever rabbit holes you send us down.
And this time it's a question for the ages. Why do dogs tilt their heads?
I know, right? I think we all know the look, like,
That adorable little head tilt they do.
yeah, and it kills me every time. But this time we're going to try and get all science-y about it. You sent in some great material, some articles, even a YouTube video.
So we've got lots to dig into. Let's see if we can actually figure this out.
The million-dollar question, seriously.
Yeah.
Um, from what I gathered from, well, your research here, it seems like there are three main theories we're working with: sight, sound, and something I'm calling doggy psychology.
Right. Right. I mean, we can't exactly ask them, right? Why are you tilting your head like that?
Right. But let's start with the sight thing. What's the visual theory here?
Well, I mean, think about a dog's face for a minute. They've got that big old snout right in the middle of their face,
Uh-huh.
which, probably gets in the way of their vision sometimes.
Especially when they're looking up at us. It's like trying to see around a tree trunk.
That's a great way to put it. So maybe they tilt their heads to get a better view of our faces.
Yeah. I mean, we know they're super focused on our facial expressions. Are we smiling? Are we frowning? Are we about to throw the ball?
Exactly. There's tons of research showing that dogs really zero in on our faces, especially our eyes, to try to read our emotions.
Okay, so maybe they're tilting to get a better look at our eyes, see what we're thinking or what we're about to do. Makes sense. But here's my question. If that's the only reason, wouldn't like short-nosed breeds tilt their heads all the time?
Yeah, you'd think, right?
Like pugs, for instance. I mean, they've practically got no snout to speak of, but they still tilt their heads just like any other dog.
That's a really good point. Which leads us to believe that sight can't be the whole story.
Okay, so let's move on to the next contender, sound. You already know because you send us these articles and all, but dogs have ridiculously good hearing, way better than ours.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we humans can hear sounds in a range from about 20 to 20,000 hertz, roughly speaking.
Sir, yeah.
But dogs, they can hear from 40 hertz all the way up to 65,000.
Whoa, that's more than triple our upper limit.
It's crazy. They're picking up on all sorts of sounds that we can't even perceive.
Like the dog whistle thing, right?
Yeah.
The high-pitched noise that drives them nuts. But we're just like, huh, what noise?
Exactly. So they're living in this whole other world of sound.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So how does this superhuman hearing tie into the head tilt? Do their ears like work better at an angle or something?
Well, they definitely use those outer ears, the pinna, the cute little flappy parts that we love to scratch.
Uh-huh, the pinna.
Yeah, they help funnel those sound waves into the ear canal.
Okay.
So maybe by tilting their head, they're adjusting those pinna, fine-tuning their hearing, so to speak.
Like adjusting a satellite dish for the perfect signal.
Exactly. It could help them pinpoint the source of a sound more accurately.
Makes sense. And for dogs with those big floppy ears that kind of cover the ear opening, when tilting their heads, kind of clear the path for sound to get in there.
Absolutely. Especially when they're trying to focus on a faint sound or something coming from far away.
Okay, so we got sight, we've got sound. Two pretty solid theories, I gotta say. But now we're venturing into the unknown, the psychology of it all. What's going on in those cute little doggy brains? What are they thinking?
Right, right. We can only speculate here, but one of the leading theories is that head tilting is, well, it's kind of a learned behavior. It's something they've figured out gets a positive reaction from us humans.
Wait, so you're saying they've trained us? They're onto us, aren't they?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Think about it. When a dog tilts its head, what do? We probably get all gooey-eyed, use baby talk, maybe give them a treat.
Okay, yeah, guilty as charged.
So we're basically rewarding them for tilting their heads. We think it's cute, so we unintentionally reinforce the behavior.
And they're like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Works every time.
Exactly. And this idea kind of fits into the bigger picture of how dogs have evolved to live with us humans. Like they've learned to use certain social cues with us that they wouldn't use with other dogs.
Oh, like how they make eye contact with us, which is actually like a challenge or a threat in the dog world.
Right. So maybe head tilting is another one of those learned behaviors. Maybe it started as a reflex related to sight or sound, but over time they figured out, hey, this really works on those humans, gets them every time.
Those sneaky little geniuses,
Yeah.
they're totally manipulating us with their cuteness.
I wouldn't say manipulating, maybe more like strategic communication.
Okay, strategic communication.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, are they tilting their heads to try and understand us better or just to get us to do what they want? Good question. We're going to have to keep digging into that one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thought, isn't it? Like, are they tilting their heads to get us or to get something from us?
Or are they actually trying to, like, understand us on a deeper level?
Maybe, maybe. We talked about sight and sound and how those could play a role,
Right.
but there might be something else going on visually, too.
Oh, tell me more.
You know how dogs have that wider range of hearing than we do?
Uh-huh.
Well, their vision's different from ours, too.
Oh, right, right. Their eyes are, like, more on the sides of their heads.
Exactly. It gives them that wider field of view.
Which makes sense, for spotting predators or prey out in the wild. But we humans, we've got those forward-facing eyes.
Gives us better depth perception.
Uh-huh.
And that difference in eye placement, that could actually be related to head tilting.
Okay, I'm following. How so?
So think about it this way. By tilting their head,
Yeah.
they might be able to use their binocular vision more effectively.
Binocular vision. Hang on, remind me.
Binocular vision, it's basically the ability to perceive depth using both eyes together.
Right, right. Depth perception.
Exactly.
Okay, and since a dog's eyes are, like, set wider apart, they might tilt their heads to, like, fine-tune that depth perception.
Especially for things close up.
Exactly. Like, say, a treat right in front of their nose.
Or our faces when we're, right up in their space.
Precisely. So that head tilt, it might not just be about getting a clearer view of our expressions,
Yeah.
but also about accurately judging how far away that treat is before they make their move.
Whoa, I never even considered that. Depth perception.
I
But it makes so much sense. Think about how good they are at catching treats midair.
know, right? Requires some serious depth perception skills.
So maybe that head tilt is helping them out with that too. Man, this is so cool. It's like a multi-sensory move,
Yeah,
enhancing both their hearing and their vision.
exactly.
I love how we're like peeling back all these layers to something we see every day but never really think about.
That's the beauty of these deep dives, right?
Totally. But speaking of layers, we've been focusing on these visual and auditory cues,
Right.
but I feel like there's a whole other dimension we haven't even touched yet. You're absolutely right. We've talked about how dogs are so in tune with our emotions, but they have their own complex emotions too, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my dog, he's such a goofball. He tilts his head whenever I talk to him in that, like, super high-pitched baby voice. It's like I don't know, he's responding to the emotion, not just the words.
That's such a great observation. And it brings us to this whole other idea.
Okay, I'm listening.
The idea that head tilting could be tied to, like, their emotional state or maybe their cognitive processes.
Interesting. Like what?
Well, some folks think that dogs might tilt their heads when they're confused.
Like they're literally tilting their heads in thought.
Could be. Or when they're trying to process new information.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I definitely notice my dog tilting his head more when we're in a new place or like when he sees something he's never seen before.
Makes you wonder if they're trying to figure it all out, doesn't it?
Totally. But, and maybe this is a stretch, maybe it's also a way for them to, like, show us they're confused.
Oh, interesting. Like a nonverbal cue to say, hey, I don't get it. Can you explain?
Yeah, exactly. Like, slow down, human, I'm not following you.
I love that. And then there's the whole social side of things, too. We talked about how head tilting might be a way to get our attention, but
Yeah.
what if it's also something they do with each other?
You mean like dogs tilting their heads at other dogs?
Exactly. Some experts believe that head tilting could be a form of dog-to-dog communication.
Wow, really? Like what would they be communicating?
Maybe it's a way to show they're paying attention or that they want to play, or even maybe as a sign of submission.
Like, hey, I'm no threat, let's be friends.
Right, something like that. It's amazing how much we still don't know about how they communicate with each other.
It really is. I feel like this whole deep dive has been like peeling back the layers of an onion, and there's still more to uncover.
And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? We can observe, we can theorize, but we can never truly know what's going on in those furry little heads.
True, true. But that doesn't mean we can't try. And speaking of trying, I know you sent us some very specific questions about your own dog's head tilting habits.
Yeah,
I think it's time we try to tackle those.
let's get to it. What's the first head scratcher, so to speak?
All right, so first up, you want to know why your dog seems to tilt their head more when you're giving them commands.
Ooh, that's a good one. Could be a couple of things, I guess.
Yeah, like maybe they're, I don't know, trying extra hard to understand what you want from them.
Totally. It could be a sign that they're really concentrating, trying to decipher your words and figure out what you're asking.
Right, right. Or maybe they're like super focused on your tone of voice.
Ooh, good point. Or
Yeah.
even your body language.
Like they're picking up on those subtle cues that we might not even realize we're giving.
Exactly. We've
Yeah.
talked about how good they are at reading human communication.
They're like furry little mind readers, always one step ahead.
And maybe those head tilts are their way of saying, hey, I'm listening. I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure this out.
Like their version of nodding along in a conversation.
I love that. It's like they're actively participating in the communication.
Totally. Okay, what else? What other head-tilting mysteries are we solving today?
Let's see. You also mentioned that your dog tends to tilt their head more when they hear certain sounds, like the doorbell or maybe the rustle of a treat bag.
Oh yeah, that's my dog all over. Any sound that remotely signals treats, his head's on a swivel.
Classic Pavlovian conditioning. They've learned to associate those sounds with something good.
Right, so the head tilt becomes like a physical manifestation of their anticipation.
Exactly. It's like their whole body is leaning in, like, ooh, what's about to happen? Is it treat time?
So cute. All right, last but not least, you wanted to know if your dog's breed or their ear type, if those things could like play a role in how much they tilt their heads.
That's a really interesting question. And yeah, I think it's definitely possible.
We know that dogs with those big floppy ears, they might tilt their heads to help them hear better.
Right. And some breeds, like terriers, for example,
Yeah.
they were originally bred for hunting small prey. So
Mm.
they might have like a naturally heightened sensitivity to sounds.
So their head tilting, it's like a leftover instinct from their ancestors.
Could be. It's amazing how those instincts can still influence their behavior today, even after, you know, centuries of domestication.
It really is. It just goes to show, like, there's no single answer to this head tilting question.
Right, right. Every dog is an individual.
With their own personality,
Hmm.
their own experiences, their own, I don't know, unique head tilting style.
And that's what makes them so fascinating to study, to live with, to just observe.
Absolutely. I mean, we could spend all day talking about the science behind it, the psychology, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we can't deny, like, the sheer cuteness of it all.
Oh, absolutely. No matter what the reason is, that head tilt just gets us every time.
Every time. It's like their secret weapon, instant heart melter.
And you know what? I don't think we'd have it any other way.
Not a chance. So, to our listener out there, keep observing your dog. Keep paying attention to those head tilts.
Yeah. When do they happen? What seems to trigger them?
Maybe you'll uncover some hidden meaning, some secret message.
And even if we never fully crack the code of canine communication,
It's those little mysteries, those quirks, those head tilts that make our bond with our dogs so special.
so true. It's a bond built on trust, loyalty, and a whole lot of love, and maybe even a little bit of head-scratching confusion.
Well said. I think we've officially navigated this deep dive, this head-tilting mystery.
We've explored the science, the psychology, the cuteness.
And hopefully we've all come away with a little deeper understanding of our furry friends.
So the next time your dog tilts their head at you, take a moment to really appreciate that moment.
Yeah, appreciate the mystery, the intelligence, the pure joy that they bring to our lives.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody.
Until next time, keep those tails wagging and those heads tilting.